Hey everybody, it's Skully. So, I want to apologize in advance, but this video is not going to be a very happy one. I'm not having a good mental health day today, and I really want to talk about it. I really want to get it out of me, but I don't know how. I just try to think of a way that I can explain this. As I've mentioned in some of my previous videos, one of the conditions, in addition to several others that I struggle with, is OCD. I honestly thought the generalized anxiety disorder, or probably the bipolar, was the hardest one to deal with, but I'm starting to feel like, honestly, the OCD is probably the hardest one to deal with. Because I have these repetitive, horrible thoughts in my head that repeat over and over and over, and they won't go away no matter how much I want them to. And there's different types of OCD that people have. Some are very hard to talk about because there's so much stigma around them. For instance, there's the harming OCD, getting graphic, horrible visual thoughts of hurting people, possibly even yourself, in various ways. There's sexual themed OCD, which I probably don't have to go too deep into that one for you to know what I'm talking about. I'm sure most people can put two and two together, but there's unwanted sexual thoughts that repeat. Some people get thoughts of doing things like, insulting people verbally, shouting obscenities at people, basically prejudice themed OCD. That one's also a very hard one to talk about nowadays. So those are a couple types of OCD to mention that you may or may not be familiar with that can be very hard for people to talk about because of the nature of what they're about. If you go up to people and tell them that you have thoughts of hurting people, or that you want to call them every bad name in the book, or that you have thoughts of touching people inappropriately, blah, 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 what do you think their reaction's going to be? Do you think they're going to take you seriously, or they're going to listen to that stuff? No. They're going to probably be like most people and want to take off and run away. So, I'm sorry that if this stuff is triggering for me to talk about. It's not easy for me to talk about either. But these types of OCD exist. There are people that have these things in their minds day in and day out, and they don't know how to talk about them because they are so controversial to talk about. So my reason for bringing this stuff up is to provide you some insight as to how debilitating a condition like this can be, how hard it can be to talk about. There are people that do not go to sleep in their own bed at night because they end up taking their lives over stuff like this. Because they cannot get it out in the open. Because of all the stigma. Because of how people will react. There's people that avoid going to therapy because they don't want to tell a therapist about the dark, deluded things in their mind. So the reason why I wanted to bring up this stuff is I wanted to talk about it, to get it out in the open, so that people are aware that these kinds of things exist. Because people have bad thoughts in their mind. Everybody has intrusive thoughts. Even if you don't have OCD, you can have intrusive thoughts in your mind. But everybody has intrusive thoughts. No matter how good or bad of a person you are, everybody has unwanted thoughts. These thoughts, they're very bothering. They're very hard to manage, but they can be dealt with. So it's important to give people a listening ear, to give people an outlet, giving people time to talk about it. I'm struggling to get myself together before this video. Every time I talk about this kind of stuff, I just start crying because it reminds me of all the dark stuff I have in my mind that I don't want to talk about. Stuff that has put my mind in a very dark place. I was in the hospital earlier this year, and the whole time I was there, these thoughts followed me the whole time I was there. But we're not going to talk about the stuff that's in my mind, because you get it. People have dark things in their head. So the next time you hear people struggling, somebody really wanting to talk about something, and if you can tell it's bothering them, try to be the open-minded person that will give them an outlet. Try to listen. Don't judge. Because you could be saving somebody's life. You could be the glimmer of light at the end of a very, very dark tunnel. You may be their last hope. You may be the person that gets them to seek help. You may be the person that saves their life. So until next time, some food for thought. Have a nice day, guys.